Operation Iron Fist. Threxus V was a dust-blasted wasteland that smelled of ammonia and death. The Crothy had turned it into a war factory, churning out weapons, ships, and soldiers for the swarm. For humanity, it was a bleeding artery that needed cauterizing. Sergeant Alexa Tran lay prone on a jagged ridge, visor down, watching the compound through her scope. The alien base pulsed with sickly green light, hexagonal towers rising like insect hives. Her combat HUD outlined targets in red and fed telemetry to her brain like second nature. 5 towers, 4 reactor cores, 2 supply convoys. "Got it," she muttered, mostly to herself. The rest of the squad crouched behind her, masked in adaptive camo. Ghost Team 9, humanity's sharpest blade in the dark. A dozen operatives trained for infiltration, sabotage, and surgical decimation. But Alexa wasn't just another soldier. She was a relic of another kind. Part human, part machine, part fury wrapped in Kevlar. Their mission was simple on paper: infiltrate the Crothy logistics hub, plant charges, get out. Command called it Operation Iron Fist. Clean, quick, decisive. Only problem was, nothing about Threxus V ever went clean. "Movement on the northeast side," whispered Corporal Zane over comms. "Looks like patrol bots." "Hold position," Alexa replied. "We go silent. No shots unless you're discovered. Move on my mark." They descended the ridge under cloaking mesh, boots crunching softly in the dusty soil. The Crothy patrols passed within meters, chittering to each other in clicking bursts that made Alexa's skin crawl. They slipped past them. Infiltration was smooth. For once, too smooth. Inside the compound, Ghost Team 9 split off in pairs. Alexa and Zane took the western generator tower. Her enhanced vision scanned for traps and biosigns, noting nothing out of place. The Crothy relied on organotech, living sensors, and bio-coded locks, but Alexa's cybernetics sliced through them like silk. They reached the reactor control room. Just as she reached for the charge pack on her belt, pain exploded through her chest. Her vision swam. Muscles seized. Her lungs refused to obey. For one terrifying second, she thought she'd been shot. Zane gasped. "Sarge, what?" Then he collapsed, convulsing, eyes rolling back. Alexa's HUD went static. System failure. Her vision faded to black. She came to in a haze of green light and alien stink. Her wrists were bound, but not tight. Her armor had been stripped, leaving her in a torn underlayer of carbon fiber weave. She was laid out on some kind of pulsating biotable that reeked of sap and rot. A wall of twitching tendrils stood before her. One of them slithered toward her face, dripping a luminous fluid into a crystalline vial. She realized with a jolt of clarity, they were sampling her blood. A Crothy voice buzzed through a translation modulator. "The poison renders their kind silent. See how it degrades the neural signals. They are weaker than we assumed." Another voice answered, shrill and smug. "Her nervous system is still active. Curious, but irrelevant. This one is expired." Expired. That was the word they used. Alexa's heart was still pounding. Weak, but there. Her system had begun to fight back. Cybernetic nanites were analyzing the foreign toxin. Her immune system was learning, adapting. She wasn't dead. Not yet. She forced herself to remain still. Breathing shallow. Eyes half-lidded. Data scrolled faintly across her retina. Toxin identified. Crothy Neuro-X strain. Immune response. Adaptive override initiated. Reboot sequence in 3:42 minutes. A nap. That's what this was. A short nap. While her body rewrote its own chemistry. In the background, the aliens discussed dismantling her corpse. Alexa focused on their words. On their arrogance. They thought humanity was fragile. That because they dropped her squad with a chemical weapon, the fight was over. That death came easy to a human. They had no idea what kind of monster they'd invited into their nest. She closed her eyes again, smiling faintly. Let them poke. Let them prod. In less than 4 minutes, she would wake up. And when she did, she'd bring hell with her. Nap time in hell. Pain returned before sight. Like a firestorm behind her eyes, Alexa's nerves flared awake, screaming as her body rebooted. Her jaw clenched, and her fingers twitched against the organic surface beneath her. Nausea rolled through her, chased by a flood of adrenaline. Then came the voice, calm, clinical, and unmistakably hers. Neurotoxin neutralized. Systems online. CRS. 9 regeneration complete. Milo online. Combat mode. Active. Welcome back, said Milo, her embedded combat AI. His tone was chipper, with just enough sarcasm to feel like an old friend. You flatlined for 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Shall I log that as a power nap? Alexa opened her eyes. The alien chamber was dim and wet-looking, its walls breathing like the inside of a lung. Translucent pods lined the perimeter, some filled with frothy biomass, others with the remains of her team. Dissolved. Dismembered. Rage surged in her chest. She sat up slowly, flexing her fingers. The bindings, soft tendrils, peeled away from her wrists, no longer pulsing. Dead. Her body heat had cooked them during her recovery. Vitals, she whispered. Heart rate stable. Musculature at 81%. Neural interface restored. You are combat capable with moderate exertion limits. Also, you are now 98.6% immune to frothy neurotoxins. Congratulations. Her grin was cold. Time to return the favor. She moved like a shadow through the base, barefoot, stripped of gear, but far from defenseless. Every inch of her body was a weapon. The frothy had missed that, focused on muscles and missed the memory-implanted combat reflexes. The reinforced bones. The subdermal armor laced into her spine. The hallway was silent, lit in a flickering blue pulse. Frothy tech wasn't digital. It was organic, biological, and often dumb. That worked in her favor. They didn't expect enemies who could think like her to be walking around inside. She knelt behind a venting tube, peering down at 2 guards blocking access to the weapons chamber. Massive insectoids with spear-like appendages. She needed a distraction. Milo chimed in. Reactor coolant flow is rerouting through ducts just above their heads. If you rupture the valve, you might startle them. Or cook them, Alexa replied. Also that. She jammed a loose shard of bioceramic from the floor into a valve seam. Pressure burst in a scream of steam and fluid. The guards turned, clicking in confusion. That was all the window she needed. She lunged, grabbing the first by the mandibles and slamming its head into the wall. It crumpled. The second hissed and raised a blade arm, but Alexa was faster, ducking low and driving her elbow into its thorax. It reeled back. She snatched the fallen one's weapon and plunged it through the second's abdomen. Silence returned. She exhaled slowly. The weapons chamber was poorly secured. Arrogance again. The aliens hadn't expected prisoners to wake up, let alone fight back. Inside, racks of exotic tools glistened, pulsing plasma lances, acid grenades, claw rifles. She ignored most of it. She grabbed a compact, human-manufactured sidearm from a black case, a souvenir from a previous kill, no doubt. It hummed to life as it recognized her DNA. One of her own. She loaded up. 10 minutes later, the base was chaos. Alarms, biological in nature, like howls, screeched through the tunnels. Alexa moved between shadows and flames, planting charges, severing connections, and leaving bodies in her wake. When cornered, she unleashed precise bursts of plasma fire or used alien weapons with savage efficiency. She didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like vengeance given form. Tactical overview, Milo prompted. 2 reactor nodes destroyed. 3rd compromised. 4th, guarded by a command unit. Perfect. Time for a reunion. The frothy commander who had overseen her capture, taller, bulkier, with gilded carapace plates, was barking orders in its native clicks when Alexa stormed into the chamber. It turned, its mandibles flaring in fury. You, it hissed through its translator. Me, she agreed, raising the alien blade she'd been saving. Their clash was brutal. Its speed matched hers, but it lacked her adaptability. She shifted mid-fight, switching styles, baiting it into overcommitting. Finally, she slid beneath its guard and drove the plasma blade into its core. It shrieked and collapsed, twitching. "Message delivered," she whispered. The final charge beeped in her hand. Reactor 4 was next. As she ran through the base, fire trailing behind her and Milo tracking her escape route, Alexa felt a strange calm. Her squad was gone. Poisoned. Betrayed. But she was alive, and every insect that stood in her way was going to pay for it. And this was just the warm-up. One-woman wrecking crew. The sky above Threxus V burned red as the base behind her belched smoke and flame. Alexa stood atop the eastern scaffold, eyes locked on the chaos she'd unleashed. Explosions rippled through the complex in steady intervals, each one lighting up the black sky like a hellish heartbeat. Status report, Milo pinged. 3 reactors destroyed. Internal comms scrambled. Seismic readings suggest structural instability across 47% of the base. Good, Alexa muttered. She slung her stolen alien rifle over one shoulder and reloaded her sidearm. Let's push that to 100%. She wasn't done. Not even close. She slipped down into the inner corridor network, a tangle of bone-white tunnels and pulsing bio-nodes. Crothy tech was alive, always moving, always adjusting. Pipes convulsed like digestive tracts, and wall panels twitched at her touch. But now it was all breaking down. As she moved deeper, the glow dimmed. Systems flickered. Organic fibers frayed and curled. Whatever intelligence powered the base was panicking. She passed an incubation chamber. Larval pods shattered, their contents spilled out in steaming heaps. It wasn't enough to destroy the supply lines. Alexa wanted to leave a scar so deep the Crothy would feel it across generations. She uploaded a viral payload Milo had cooked up. It was primitive by human standards, just a few lines of aggressive recursive code, but the Bionet didn't know how to defend against digital warfare. Virus deployed. Spreading through central nervous matrix. Estimated cascade failure. 6 minutes. Plenty of time. A squad of Crothy warriors blocked her path to the final objective, the bio-core. Larger than others, they wore armor plating and carried heavy acidic cannons. No words. No hisses. They simply raised their weapons and opened fire. Alexa dove sideways, a streak of movement in the dark. Acid splashed the wall where she'd stood a heartbeat before, eating through the bone-like structure with a sickening hiss. She returned fire mid-roll, her plasma rounds punching through 2 guards' chests in rapid succession. Another charged at her, shrieking, claws outstretched. She sidestepped, kicked out its knee joint, and jammed a pulse grenade beneath its jaw. The body crumpled before the explosion disintegrated it entirely. 4 hostiles down. 2 remaining. Caution. 1 approaching from your left. Alexa spun, fired point-blank, and dropped the last soldier. She stood still for a moment, breathing hard. Then she pushed forward. The bio-core chamber was a cathedral of flesh and energy. A massive, glowing heart-like structure hovered in the center, suspended by writhing tendrils that pulsed with rhythm and light. This was it, the base's mind, its command center, its soul. Alexa approached slowly. Dozens of thin tubes emerged from the floor and ceiling, some pumping fluids, others twitching as if sensing her presence. The Crothy had created something terrifying here, a living machine, feeding on organic mass and war fuel. And they thought it was unstoppable. She pulled the last fusion charge from her belt and set it to overload. Let's see how your god bleeds. As she planted the device, a voice echoed through the chamber, garbled, alien, filtered through her translator. Human. You were to be dead. Alexa looked up. Hovering above the bio-core was a tall, misshapen Crothy drone, something different. Taller. Smarter. Its carapace shimmered with shifting light, and dozens of eyes blinked across its body. Milo, she asked. Unknown entity. Possibly a high-order controller. Caution advised. The creature descended slowly, clicking. Your species corrupts. It adapts. You infect stability. Compliment accepted, Alexa replied, raising her weapon. You are alone. Wrong again. She fired. The blast clipped one of its limbs. It shrieked, not just in pain, but in fear. She lunged forward, weaving through its counterfire, firing in short, controlled bursts. The fusion core ticked down behind her, glowing hotter by the second. One of the controller's tendrils snagged her arm, slamming her into the wall. Pain flared through her ribs. She gritted her teeth, twisted, and fired into its eye cluster. The creature spasmed and fell, slamming into the core. That was all the charge needed. The fusion device beeped once. Core breach initiated. You now have 23 seconds to leave, Milo said dryly. Alexa sprinted through the corridor, heat and light swallowing the world behind her. Fire licked at her heels. She passed bodies, broken machinery, shattered spires. She hit the surface just as the world split open behind her. The bio-core erupted in a pillar of fire and light, vaporizing everything within 100 meters. The shockwave sent her sprawling, skidding across the dirt. When she finally stopped, she lay still under the dark, star-choked sky, dust settling like ash. Behind her, the alien base burned. The Crothy war machine on Threxus V, gone. Milo spoke softly. All primary objectives complete. Alexa coughed, then grinned. One-woman wrecking crew. Told you. The message we send. The smoke was starting to clear. Alexa sat on a shattered ridge overlooking the ruined Crothy base. Fires danced below, throwing long shadows across the blackened soil. The alien war factory, once a sprawling hive of production, logistics, and terror, was now a smoldering corpse. Her muscles ached. Dried blood crusted one side of her face. Her combat suit was torn to hell, and 3 ribs throbbed like drumbeats under her skin. But she was alive. And Threxus V belonged to the dead now. Signal beacon active, Milo reported. Rescue vessel ETA. 42 minutes. Alexa leaned back against a broken spire of alien bone metal. I didn't think Command would bother. Technically, they assumed you were already dead. So I broadcast your vital signs manually. You're welcome. She smirked. Guess that nap paid off. She stared across the ruins, trying to feel something other than exhaustion. Satisfaction. Bitterness. Relief. All she felt was emptiness, and the quiet buzz of a job finished. And somewhere beneath it, the beginning of something colder. Her HUD pinged. Movement. 8 signatures. She dropped into a crouch, weapon raised. Her body screamed in protest, but she ignored it. Shapes crested the far hill, dark and low. She zoomed in. Crothy. Survivors. But these weren't warriors. No armor. No rifles. No growling exosuits. These were workers. Engineers. Maybe even juveniles. Limbs trembling, eyes wide, clicking quietly as they approached the smoldering ruins of their hive. One of them stepped forward, small and unarmed, mandibles quivering. She aimed her weapon. The reticle locked on. Alexa, Milo said carefully, they're not combatants. I know. They're likely here to salvage. Or mourn. She didn't lower her gun. Everything inside her screamed that they were part of the machine. The same species that poisoned her squad. That dissected her like meat. That fed on death. But they were also staring at her in absolute silence. Waiting. No weapons. No threats. Just presence. The smallest of them chittered something. Her translator tried to make sense of it. Why? That was all. Alexa hesitated. Then she stepped forward, slow and steady, letting the rifle drop to her side. She stood tall, bloodied, burned, and unbroken. Because you drew first blood, she said. Because you thought we wouldn't fight back. Her voice was quiet, cold. You thought we were weak. The alien said nothing. She pointed to the burning crater behind her. That was your mistake. Milo chimed again. Encrypted message from Command. Would you like to hear it? She nodded. General Brax's voice crackled through her earpiece, stern as ever. Sergeant Tran. Against overwhelming odds, you executed Operation Iron Fist with maximum effectiveness. The destruction of the Threxus V facility is a critical blow to the Crothy campaign. You are authorized for immediate extraction and full commendation. A pause. And for the record, you've made them afraid. Alexa stared at the survivors. Good, she said flatly. 40 minutes later, the dropship sliced through the clouds like a silver blade. It settled in a landing zone carved by fire and ash. Its belly hatch opened with a hiss. Inside, human soldiers waited, faces stunned as they spotted the lone figure walking toward them, dragging a damaged alien rifle and wearing the scorched remains of Ghost Team 9 sigil. No squad. No backup. Just Alexa. She stopped at the hatch, turned once, and looked back. The Crothy workers were still watching from the ridge. She didn't wave. Didn't nod. She let the silence speak for itself. Let them remember. Let them tell their kind what happened here. Because this is the message we send. Humanity adapts. Humanity survives. And when pushed, we burn your world to the ground. As the dropship lifted off and the burning horizon shrank beneath her, Alexa finally let her body relax. Milo spoke gently. "Would you like to sleep now, Sergeant?" She closed her eyes. "Yeah," she whispered. "Just a short nap."